throat is a bit hoarse today. Can everybody hear me? In the back? Good. Thank you. Welcome. So I know quite a few of you, but I don't know of you how many of you are experienced Wikipedians. Okay? How many of you are not very experienced Wikipedians? Cool. I'm very happy that you're here. Is there anybody here who speaks English? Yeah, a few people. Cool. Good. about this actor in the German Wikipedia, but not in the English Wikipedia. And this kind of sucks because everything has to press tax and it's a big deal. So it's really the same in English and in German, but if we see the same thing in Hebrew, we see the same way in a different alphabet. How can you relate between them? Because the same is the same person. Unfortunately, we don't see it very easy. There is no article by this actor yet. Well, what can we do? While the article is there, but till then, could we maybe somehow link it because it makes sense to link it? Next. So, interesting message. What did you think about it? Is this notation familiar to you here? It's one of the things that doesn't understand why it's going to change here. Anybody understand this? Okay, so I'll explain this. So there's Wikipedia and there's Wikidata. Wikidata is a field and project of Wikipedia, and every Wikipedia article is associated with a Wikidata item. Every Wikidata item has a number that begins with the letter 2, and an identificator that begins with the letter 2, and then some numbers, and it's totally generic, and then articles in different languages about the same subject are all connected to the same key number. So if we could connect the word link to this key number, then we could know that even though the article doesn't exist yet, this is an article about this entity, this person, this thing, whatever it is. Click. And same numbers, things that we need to do. Now that we are connected like this, what could we do with this? So this is a really clear this is awful. Click. Is there anybody here who thinks that this is awful? You don't quite know, that's fine. I'm saying this is awful, as you can see. We're talking through this while you think this is awful. Yeah. But let's try to say maybe it's not so awful because links are text and that is not very well in Wikipedia began writing something like this. But much nicer than writing something like this because, back in 2001, when did we use the internet in 2001? In 2001 we didn't have Google Docs. I'm not even sure we had WordPress back then, and even if we didn't have WordPress, we didn't have Google WordPress, we didn't do Wikipedia either. We used Internet Explorer 4, Internet Explorer 4, that's all you can do with Internet Explorer 4, and in any case, what we actually did was a little convenient using this. Cool, but is it still cool in 2019? I'm not sure. Let's think about this a little bit more. Wikipedia is almost 20 years old. We learned quite a lot about language diversity inside our own projects. How do we connect to each other in different languages? We learned quite a lot about about creating translate data. Here it is. Wikidata is everything a few reviews. So maybe we could be a bit more semantic, a bit more linked. Also, let's imagine some future world in which we edit the last wiki text and maybe more later, and the wiki text is not even important, and then we mostly see the text, and then it doesn't really matter what is inside there, and let's go further. So maybe this wiki syntax looks awful to some of you, but what do you think the point of this possibly awfulness? For example, if there's no article in English that you can read, maybe at least it could lead you to the article in German, in case you know German. If you know German, or any other language, there's no article that you can create a design, at least use Wikidata. The Wikidata items will tell you, could it be? If there is such an important animal, surely there's an article in my language, and then you see that it's not exactly in some languages, it's about the genus, and in some languages it's about the species, and so on. So maybe thanks to this, we'll get consistency of ontology based on the actual precise thing. Maybe we could also get consistency of spelling of red links. Some languages have very consistent spelling. Some languages have not perfectly consistent spelling. Then if we link to an item, then spelling doesn't matter because we know that it's the same thing. And we will also get automatic disambiguation, which is a very cool thing. Does everybody know what is disambiguation? Yes. Is there anybody who doesn't know what is disambiguation in Wikipedia? Pirushonim? Pirushonim. Disambiguation, just in case somebody doesn't know, that's what, if you have the same name, several articles with the same name, you write a page that explains what is each of these names. So click. Hello. And another click. So this is an example of a disambiguation page in the English Wikipedia. It's not the whole page, I shortened it, but it's from the disambiguation page about Felix. So Felix could be a name, it could be a city in Spain, it could be a city in Ontario, it can be a bunch of other things. But I actually wanted you to notice these templates here. Who here edits the English Wikipedia frequently? A bunch of people. Do you know what is the OC right? That template there, what does it do?
The table of contents?
It puts the table of contents on the right. Okay. What does the look from template do? No idea. Cool. And imagine you're editing this disambiguation page. What is this thing? Wiktionary, I guess, maybe you can guess what Wiktionary does. It puts links to Wiktionary. However, if you can click, let's talk about this a little bit more. Imagine that disambiguation pages look like this. Isn't it much better? Another click. I mean, seriously, like, why do you even have to do this? Why do humans waste their time writing these lists? Click. Seriously, they can write themselves. Another click. Because seriously, like, these are strings. It's like it's a bunch of things that have the same name. Computers can very easily find a bunch of things that can have the same name, and they can show you a list of things that can have the same name. Humans really have better things to do, like write the actual articles, or maybe take pictures and upload the pictures. Computers can even find similar titles, like titles with different capitalization, or maybe diacritics. In the worst cases, maybe humans can help find similar titles. Humans can maybe help order them, put the most important articles at the top or something like that. But most of that work can be done by computers. Also, this Wiktionary link. Since about a year ago, correct me if I'm wrong, we have Wikidata Lexemes. Has everybody heard about Wikidata Lexemes? Is there anybody who doesn't know about Wikidata Lexemes? So Wikidata Lexemes is kind of Wiktionary, but upon Wikidata. So it saves information about words in Wikidata. So it's Wikidata is
early stages.
What's that?
It's in the early stages.
It's in very early. It's in very early stages, but you know it's developing. It's developing quickly. Thousands of words are being added. So it's supposed to eventually replace or augment through Wiktionary at least, and. Maybe this could be automatically added instead of humans typing curly brace, Wiktionary, pipe, Felix, 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 Felix. And next, thank you. Look from this template, this mysterious template at the bottom. It creates this text. All pages with titles beginning with Felix. Seriously, it's useful on pretty much any disambiguation page. It could be added automatically by computers to all the disambiguation pages. Why do humans have to write this template? So really, imagine a world in which you can do this, and TOC right. Why do humans have to think about where to put the table of contents? Table of contents is supposed to be created automatically and put automatically in the nicest place. Instead of thinking of this, could we maybe imagine a world in which this disambiguation page, this disambiguation page, I have good reasons, good data-driven reasons to think that this is one of the most important disambiguation pages in the English Wikipedia. I won't go into details. If you're interested, you can ask me after the talk. but I analyzed some data about traffic and about searches. And for people around the world, this is the page that they very frequently arrive at and have a lot of difficulties finding what they actually want. Because there are millions of Americans who are looking for a particular kind of football. There are millions of people from other countries who are not Americans, but who know English, and who are looking for a different kind of football. Imagine that it looked like this. Imagine that you don't know English very well, but you arrive in the English Wikipedia because that's what your search engine gave you, and you know which kind of football to choose. Is that like, wouldn't that be a much nicer disambiguation page? Much more pleasant. I'm not a real designer. I'm a lazy-ass former product manager. It took me like 2 minutes to design this. A real designer would do something even much better than this. This, of course, is something that Wikipedians would do. Is this actually useful to hundreds of millions of people who look for information about football? I'm not sure, and I have data-driven reasons to think that I'm right. And let's go on. Let's talk a little bit about titles. I hope you don't fall asleep. Links and titles of pages, they are very closely connected. So which one would be better? Please tell me. C# is a famous programming language. So this is how it currently looks like. C#, the actual name of the language, that's how it's supposed to look like. But because we cannot use the sharp sign in titles of articles for ancient technical reasons, we have to call it with this name, and then we have to add this comment here. The correct title of this article is C this thing, programming language. Substitution is due to technical restrictions. Why don't we get rid of technical restrictions? Can we maybe imagine this? Wouldn't that be much nicer? Next. And seriously, like, both of them are not great. Like, I understand that, like, this is what I suggest, more or less. And, but this is the current thing. Is this really good? I'm not sure that this is really good. Let's take a look at a few other examples. These parentheses, they are not always for disambiguation. Would a child slight return? It's a name of a famous Jimi Hendrix song. It's not disambiguation. Jimi Hendrix didn't do disambiguation. N2X is a band. It's a pretty good band. That the X in parentheses is part of the band's name. This title has 2 sets of parentheses. First one is part of the title. This is the actual title. This one is for disambiguation. This kind of sucks. So people who speak Spanish, what is this? Durazno? Is there anybody who thinks that this is something else? What's that? Oh, I didn't know that one. But anyway, the 2 common names in Spanish, depending on the region, I want them to say country, because even inside the same country, they can have different names. But the 2 common names are melocoton or durazno. That's a peach, of course. What is the name of the article in the Spanish Wikipedia? Neither. It's the Latin name. Yeah, I mean, but imagine that you could choose, like, if I live in the region, if I speak the kind of Spanish where we call this durazno, and then the name would be durazno. Or if I speak the kind of Spanish that calls it melocoton, it would be melocoton. Wouldn't it be nicer? Because most people just look for the actual fruit in the name that they want to see. Click, and there are, of course, examples from other languages. This example is from a Wikimania talk from one of the previous years. This one, I think, is from Austria, and this one is from Germany. And I heard that in the German Wikipedia, they had lots of arguments whether to call it with this name or with this name. Autumn and fall. The current name in the English Wikipedia is autumn. I am personally happy about this because when I learned English, I learned it as autumn, but millions of Americans prefer the name fall. Why not? If you choose American English, then maybe you can see it as the name fall. And how could we achieve this? Could we maybe dump medium wiki page titles completely? I know it sounds crazy. But can we maybe replace them with Wikidata labels? And some people at this point will say, but we don't use Wikidata labels for that. We use Wikidata labels for something else. Why? It's the same thing. Wikidata labels, they have the name of the thing. You can localize it. You can have a separate name for British English and a separate name for American English. And every Wikidata label, every Wikidata item also has a description. Now, it's called a description, but actually, it's a disambiguator. It mostly serves to give disambiguation to different titles, like the parenthesis, except it's actually structural and it's distinct from the title. So that's what it was always needed for. By the way, as far as I know, you don't have limitations of characters. You can use the sharp mark, and you can use the pipe, and you can use the underscore and a bunch of other characters that you cannot use in titles. You can use all of them in Wikidata labels, so you don't have that technical restriction. If I'm wrong about this, please tell me. Next. So these are more or less my proposals. I know that they are crazy and awful. I could actually give you lots of other examples of how it's awful, but I didn't want to make it too long. And just towards the end, I wanted to mention that in Wikimania 2010, there was somebody who couldn't come to Wikimania. He wanted to give a talk about why is it important to keep all the interlanguage links in the central place. He couldn't get a visa, so he asked me to give his presentation instead of him. So I gave this presentation in Wikimania 2010. Then in Wikimania 2011, there were 3 talks about the need to make interlanguage links centralized. There were 3 very similar presentations, and people were getting annoyed. Why do we keep talking about this? Then in 2013, we got Wikidata. And that was so hard, and now all interlanguage links are in the same place. So maybe we could improve internal links also. So thank you. And this picture is not because I want to ignore you. It's because I want you to look at this cute cat while you are arguing with me. Thank you.
Sure.
Yeah.
That's a wonderful proposal.
Thank you.
First of all, my name is Victor, and my first question is: have you chosen a syntax for that? I'm thinking of like 3 brackets, because apparently you will not be using the 2 brackets to.
Yeah. No, I haven't chosen a syntax for this. This is a fantasy. Right, on the first slide I said that this is a fantasy. I don't have any implementation for this. I did create a fabricated tasks for some of these proposals. Yeah, possibly 3 brackets is one thing that I thought about. If Subo is here, I think. Yeah, maybe Subo is like the #1 expert on wiki syntax. One of the 5 experts on wiki syntax, one of the biggest experts. He can probably give a much better proposal for the actual syntax of how it will look like internally. It's an idea, right? The basic idea is to associate red links or empty pages or whatever it is with Wikidata items. How does it actually look internally in the syntax and in the code? That's a secondary question. The first important thing is to recognize the need for this thing. But yeah, these are the important details, but someday we'll figure it out, I hope.
Yeah. Okay, I'm Ranjit from India. I hope that in future we have a presentation that we ditch Wikipedia and or the articles are being written automatically from Wikidata. Yeah, I am dreaming about that. But your proposal is one step to that thing. Well, I think, yeah. But my concern is one thing, that if we power all the titles from Wikidata, in future when a bot came and massively rewrite all these labels, then all the Wikipedia are messed up with the for some minutes itself. Maybe, yeah, maybe we must have a restriction for that thing. But to implement this thing, Wikidata must be much more mature than current situation. But for links, for disambiguation pages, for all the templates, it must be powered from Wikidata for standardized certain reasons. Yeah, for and also for images, I think all the images must come from Wikidata into all Wikipedia. That's the main reason. Yeah, that's a fantastic proposal, and we are on the way to ditch Wikipedia.
So, Denny Ranicic, one of the founders of Wikidata, a few months ago, he came up with a proposal with a very serious academic paper of how Wikipedia could be written in a neutral language that could be translated to all the other languages, and then there was a big email thread about this on our mailing lists. And later he was interviewed about this, and in the interview he clarifies this in a very nice way. What he says in that interview makes perfect sense. And he says that quite a lot of things could be written automatically from Wikidata, but not everything.
For some things you need humans. For some things forever you will need humans. You will need humans to write stories that computers cannot write. So we cannot totally ditch Wikipedia. We shouldn't totally ditch Wikipedia. We shouldn't totally ditch humans and prose writing. But yeah, quite a lot of things we could automate so that humans could actually focus on writing stories. So
Yeah, that's
yeah, it's a step in that direction. I want to make it more human, not less human. One last thing. I don't even think we have much more time, so one last thing.
Yes, I just want to clarify. Yes, you proposed the system when some user could go to the Wikidata and push some button and to choose the variant, the option for some article. Yes. So, as I understood, it could be the tool to fighting against the battles in the Wikipedia. For example, in Russian Wikipedia, there are many years. We have the battles for Belarus or Belarusia. 90% of Russian citizens call this country as Belarusia, as it's the old variant, and 99% of Belarusians call their country, even in Russian language, Belarus. So every time we have some fights. So if we introduce your proposal, so it could be a very good fixing tool. Because all Belarusians can push this button and they could see the Belarus as a title in Russian Wikipedia.
Yeah, that's an example. You could so with my proposal you could definitely see it in the title, in the text of the articles. You could even do it for the text of the articles, but that's a bit different thing. If you know C. Scott Ananian, I think that his presentation about exactly this thing is happening right now. But you can catch him here, and he is having a proposal about something similar that would do something like this for the text of the articles. Which is pretty cool. It's kind of related, but I'm talking mostly about the titles, not so much about the text. Yeah, so we're out of time. I'm sorry, I have to pass the torch to the next one. Thanks a lot for coming, and thanks a lot for your comments.